Season 1, Episode 2.
Podcast. I'm Holden.
I'm Sergio.
We got Chad Quinn and Tom Adams here. Tom Adams is from Florida. He's calling in here Bluetooth, and he's live on the show. It's pretty interesting. This is Tom. Chad, say hello.
Hey, what's up?
Hey,
What's going on? You want to introduce yourself?
Whoever wants to first. Tom, you can go ahead and introduce yourself first. Tell us what you do.
Hey man, my name is Tom. Just trying to get comfy over here so I can hang out with you, bros. Right now, kind of sitting out on my back porch. I am in Florida. I've lived here all my life. Outside of being in the military for a couple of years, I left and came back. Now I am working almost full time, about 30 hours a week, and going to school full time.
And what are you going to school for, Tom?
So I'm going to school for an economics degree, actually, minoring in international business right now.
Dude's trying to run the world.
Nice.
You almost next done? Wall Street shark.
That was my brother's degree. He got the same thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Does he like it? Is he already graduated? Or?
Yeah, he's selling software out in D.C. now, but yeah, he liked it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So, Tom.
I mean.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah, so he was asking how far along I am, and amid everything that's going on, coincidentally, I'm actually in my last 2 semesters. So once I finish this semester, I have summer, and then that's it. I'm graduating.
Yeah. So what have they done for like school out there? Did they cancel? Because like here they got it canceled, and I think they're trying to set up like online classes for everybody. I ended up giving a ride from the dealership to one of their tech guys here at their community college, and he was saying that they're like setting up online schooling. So is that like kind of the same how it is for you?
Yeah, it is. And they didn't actually cancel any classes. I still have, so my current course is 2 online classes and 2 S&C classes. And they just basically, the 2 online courses kind of continued on. I mean, there's a lot of like, hey, we know a lot of stuff is going on, so we're pushing all the assignments back and giving more time. And then they're doing that with the online stuff too. And, you could just tell like some teachers are used to doing online classes and some aren't. So it's kind of like a huge learning curve for some of the teachers, and it's kind of taking some time. And
all the non-tech savvy ones are getting called out.
Yeah.
Right. No, yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, they can choose to have online courses or not, and now there's no choice. Like you don't get a choice anymore.
Right.
Yeah. So that was really that was actually really interesting. Yesterday, I was talking to we got another buddy who's like a recruiter, and he wants to come on the show as well for the Army. You were in the Marines, right?
Yeah, for 5 years.
So what was that like?
Oh man, what wasn't that like? It was a life experience. I had maybe not the most normal experience, and at least from what I understand, I started off being a linguist, was getting a secret security clearance and all that stuff through like boot camp and MCT, which is like the follow on after boot camp. You do a couple of months there to like basically learn how to do combat drills and stuff, and then you go on to your school. So I went on to the school to be a linguist. I was learning Farsi, which is basically what they speak in Iran. Uh-huh. And I didn't take it super seriously. I took it pretty seriously, but I partied pretty hard and ended up not being the most, the reason I joined the military is because I wasn't a good student, and that's literally what it was. So I ended up failing out of that. They wanted to give me another language, Spanish, and I was like, no thanks. So then they transferred me out to another MOS, which is my military occupation, and I ended up being a Amtrak mechanic, which is an amphibious assault vehicle. It's basically the vehicle that takes troops from the ship to the shore. It's a floating tank, and I spent my last 4 years as a mechanic and had a blast. Went to Japan, went on a couple of ships, did a couple of fleet weeks. I didn't really, you talk to a lot of Marines, a lot of people in the military, Army, Navy, all of them who have been in country and have seen combat. So there's definitely a level of like, did I pull my fair share of the weight? And definitely a lot of guilt, for feeling like you didn't. but at the same time, when you get to sit down and talk with those guys, they're almost like, I'm happy you didn't have to do that. And so you don't have to kind of experience the kind of post-traumatic shit that I'm experiencing. So I got to be there for a lot of those dudes and talk with them without actually having to withstand it, which is a blessing, really. I'm grateful for that, but at the same time, I wish I could have gone and been there for some of my brothers.
Yeah. Well, we at least we got the same Tom back after 5 years.
Yeah, that's definitely not the case for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that was definitely a plus. As well as like you don't have to worry about your friends either, Like you want people to support their country and do everything like that, but then you also don't want your friends to get hurt.
Definitely. I mean, and you're going in it with the mindset, at least in that time frame, which was
bad.
Yeah, I mean, you're like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at least I thought if I was going to go into a combat MLS, that would have been the case, but I was going to be a linguist. So I figured, whatever, I'll just, I'll sit on base. Like, I wasn't trying to be a hero by any means. I just failed out of college right after high school. And,
you went to FAU, didn't you?
Yeah. With, one of your friends, Amber, we had a good first year and she was a great student. So I think she ended up graduating from there. And I, again, partied, not taking it seriously. And, just didn't want to be financially burdened to anybody. So I was like, I'll join the military.
Yeah. Do you feel like it taught you anything? Did you come out of it different?
I mean, not like change personality, but like definitely a new respect for, just the world and the things that you have and, the time that you have. So, I mean, I definitely now I'm a much better student for it. Very focused on what my life goals are and stuff like that. So yeah, it definitely changed a little bit.
You happy that you did it?
1,000%. Yeah.
Well, you're
without a doubt.
You're on the GI Bill's paying for your schooling right now for what you're going.
Yeah,
for.
man. I'm not only basically when you get out of the military and you go on the GI Bill, they're not only paying for your school, but they're paying you to go to school. So they pay for my school 100%. And then I also, as long as I'm full time, they give me money for basically like housing and stuff.
That's pretty sweet.
Because you can't go to work. You shouldn't be going to work full time if you're going to be focused on school. I mean, some people do it and, more power to them, but.
Oh, hell yeah. I don't know how people go to school full time and then work 3 jobs or like whatever and still pass tests. Like, where do you find the time to study?
No social life, no nothing at that
right.
point.
Home, work, school, home, work, school.
Enough to drive you
for
crazy.
Sure. I kind of felt like that for a second, but it really isn't even that bad if you manage your time right, which, I still kind of procrastinate and don't, but, it's definitely it's not easy and, good for those people, man. And not to mention they're paying for it too, right? So they're going to come out of all kinds of debt and shit.
Well, I would think your girlfriend keeps you on your toes, keeps you on task.
She does. She's, you know what, more than anything, she was a large reason on why I was like, she was like, you've already started. You have X amount of credits from when you went, before you went in the military. Like, it would be stupid of you not to basically utilize the GI Bill, no matter what you go to college for, and come out as a better person on the other end. And she continued to motivate me to do it and kind of kept me in it. Now we're just, waiting to graduate, start our life.
Yeah.
Were you going to school for something different before you went back?
It was just basic business. So
Okay.
I didn't know what I was doing in high school. My sisters were all going to college. My stepdad had graduated from college, and it was more of like it's just a thing that you do, and they were like, you can join the military, but you should go to college. Right. So I went just because that was what I thought I was supposed to do. And I really wasn't in the mindset for it really,
Yeah. So where's your outcome, once you are done with college? What's your dream job that you're wanting to get?
And that's a lot of people ask you that, and I don't have any specific expectations. I just know that I'm really just hoping to do like some sales or something like that. I mean, I would love to work in a corporate environment. hopefully not like necessarily like direct management over personnel, but like more so management of like a company or something like that. And just kind of going to take whatever opportunities are, presented to me as much as I can.
Well, and I know that you were doing, wasn't it like right when you got out of the military, you were like working for some company that assembles brewing equipment and you were like welding stuff?
So right when I got out, before I met my girlfriend and, failing college once, failing to be a linguist and like studying, I just kind of thought, I'm good with my hands. I'm not really the college type. So I went and got a welding degree, learned how to weld, and went to work for a company assembling brewery systems, fermenters, mash mixers, stuff like that. I ended up building brew houses and stuff like that, which is basically like the structure that the brewer stands on when he's like operating all the machinery and stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen some crazy stuff. Like cool stuff.
What's that?
I'm sure you've seen some cool stuff like at these breweries and
Oh yeah, man, absolutely. I mean, it's really, I honestly like anything industrial is super fascinating to me because somebody has to build it and somebody has to operate it, and like it could be from car machinery or heavy duty machinery to welding. It's just I think it's all really awesome stuff.
Yeah, and I know Serge and I don't know about you, Chad, because you're drinking a slushie, so.
But it tastes good. I'm not complaining.
I know we love breweries. I can't really judge them too much. I'm drinking a Bud Light seltzer, but that's mostly because I'm trying to.
I feel so bad because I know they would be so ashamed of me. I'm like drinking McUltras right now.
That's all right.
We are literally all but Sergio is drinking what is that, a Kona?
It's a Kona, yeah.
Yeah.
That's your go-to.
Those are cool, man. They're cool beers, dude.
Well, and we went on, and we kind of talked about this yesterday, and you didn't get a chance to listen to the full podcast, but Serge and I
tried to. I wanted to so bad. It sounded really good. I really enjoyed it. You guys are really funny. It's rad.
Nice. Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
It gets better.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, it's only up from here. But so we, Serge and I and one other friend of ours, we were, actively talking about doing opening a brewery here in Casper, and this was before like Frontier. I think Frontier was getting ready to open.
Right. That's
Like
just
Kreider
probably...
hadn't opened, Skull Street hadn't opened.
No, yeah.
No.
So we were trying to be like one of the first or second ones that were gonna be in here, and we ended up not accomplishing that.
Yeah.
Innovative.
That's probably like 4 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
3, 4, something like that.
It's so expensive.
It is.
Especially here in Casper. Like the overhead here is ridiculous. I know Something Brewery in Brighton, their overhead is very cheap, and they have like a nice downtown Brighton place, and it's all.
I mean, entering that market like has got to be so expensive because of the amount of equipment that you need.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Start in your
And then you
garage
got to
or
have
something.
your own recipes and all that stuff pretty much set up before you even go in. So.
Oh yeah, you got to be doing micro like in your garage for a few years before you can. Somebody's got to say I like your shit right before you go blind.
Yeah, pretty
right.
much. Yeah.
Have you done that before? Have you done any home brewing?
No, I got a buddy who does. I am not a cook by any means. Measuring ingredients is not a skill set of mine.
Because you messed around with it, right, Holden?
Yeah, so I have a full home brewing kit.
What, 5 gallon?
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, and I've done it. I had this really good it was like a mango double IPA, and fuckface who will not be named dumped it out down the sink. So I was pretty upset about that.
Who would do that? That's terrible.
A definite asshole.
Sorry, Brian.
Nah, it's whatever. So I want to make some more this summer, and I have a kegerator in the garage that I put my my keg in, and hopefully get fucked up off of it because it's delicious.
That's got to be a great thing. Like, you make this beer, and instead of going to the gas station or store and buying beer, like you gotta get to drink your own stuff. Right.
It's a fun process, and it's definitely nice when the level of accomplishment you feel that, when you get done making something and somebody drinks it and they're like, oh shit, this is pretty good. So the first beer that I ever made, it was an amber, and I took it down to that brewery in Brighton that I was just talking about and let them have some, and they were like, "Oh, this is your first beer? It's like way better than the first shit we ever made." So that kind of got me a little hyped up on it, and it just kind of
there you go. That had to.
It slows after a while, like only because it takes time to do it.
Yeah, there's no
it's very
instant gratification because you're waiting for it to ferment too.
Yeah.
I've done it before too, and you were waiting. You don't know. You made this. You spent this time like all day brewing this beer. You don't know for weeks and weeks whether or not it's any good.
could end up being shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the kegerator, so I had to bottle it all, and that shit took some time.
Yeah, no, I refused.
Yeah,
I
that's
watched
way
enough
smarter.
videos where
Yeah.
I was like, fuck that, I'm not.
And you got to wait a lot longer too.
Cool capping thing where you had to put a cap on every individual bottle.
Yeah.
On there.
And when I was interning at the same, it's called something brewery Brighton. There's a free plug for you. It was pretty cool. Yeah, and I bottled a shit ton of beer, and it fucking sucks. It's
They didn't have an automatic system. So
Not
you were
at that
doing it by
time.
hand?
No, not at that time. Yeah, we were doing it by hand, and it is very repetitive. I mean, I think we were there for like 6 hours. I fucking could barely walk once we left because we were drinking the whole time. Like that's one of the greatest things about like if you own a brewery or like work for somebody with a brewery, like you
Gotta sample the goods.
you get to drink the whole time you're working. So, am I like not talking in the mic or what?
Mm-hmm. It's like on the side, but
It still works.
So what got you guys like onto, I know this is like episode 2, which one, I feel pretty privileged for episode number 2. It's like, right in the beginning of the whole thing. But what made you guys want to do this? You guys listen to a lot of podcasts or?
Yeah, dude, I listen to Joe Rogan like pretty religiously. Not as much lately, just because I don't have time to listen to the whole thing from like my drive to work and then driving home. Some of his podcasts are pretty long, so then it's like I think I fall asleep by like 8:30 or 9. Like I can't even make it through a movie once I get off work. Like by the time I eat and shower and shit, like I'm passing out by like 8:30, 9.
okay.
Right.
Takes me 3 days to watch a movie. It's fucking terrible.
Is that like your thing too, Serge? Or like, I mean, is this all Sergio's like equipment and stuff?
Yeah,
and, like,
no, we went half and half on it, but yeah, I listened to like mainly a couple podcasts. The main one I listen to is like Joe Budden podcast. It's like a hip hop one. I pretty much grind through. It's like a 3-hour podcast. I could grind it out in a day, so I got the time to actually. I work in an office, so
This motherfucker sits at his desk and watches goddamn Netflix.
Nah, I wish.
Yeah, whatever. Oh, they
Netflix
blocked
is
you,
blocked,
didn't they? Yeah, he got everyone blocked from it because his boss kept walking by, seeing him watching fucking new seasons of Ozark or some shit.
I do a lot of multitasking, so like a lot of spreadsheets and stuff like that, Word documents. So it's like all half-ass stuff, I guess. So I could.
Bro takes 2-hour lunches.
Man, 2 birds with 1 stone. That's awesome.
Putting them on blast.
Yeah, I know.
Bro
Yeah,
takes
they're
2-hour
gonna listen
lunches.
to this and then be like, "Yo, you're fired."
You're done here.
Yeah.
It's not like they don't know.
Yeah, that's true. But
It's
yeah,
funny enough, you were like asking me about the brewery thing because the first time I started to listen to podcasts was basically it was like a little mom and pop shop that we were building brewery systems in, and I had the ability to listen to music, not like a corporate environment, so it's whatever. And I listened to music for maybe about a month, and it just got pretty monotonous for me. So I started listening to podcasts, and that's really where I put the hood down and start, tigging or whatever. And that's really where I did most of my kind of listening to different podcasts and stuff like that. I was listening to a lot of like, this might sound nerdy, but there's this one, it's called Freakonomics. So it's basically like an economics podcast. And
Have you read the books?
Freakonomics?
Yeah.
No.
I've read it. It's a good book. It's a pretty good book.
Chad doesn't read. Don't believe him.
I done learnt well.
No, dude. So, kind of answer more of your question. There's not really anybody in Casper. We live in a small town. It's probably like 60,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of that, did you guys do your census?
yeah, I did mine.
I did. Yeah, I did mine too. Chad, fucking get on it.
I'm gonna plead the fifth on
It's
that
easy.
one.
Apparently, they're gonna keep bugging you until you do it.
But yeah, there's 60,000 people. There's a lot of shit that happens here, and it gets covered by the news, but the news gets old.
Right.
It's more scripted than anything. They're told what to say. We can say whatever the fuck we want. So we try not to upset anybody, but opinions are opinions, and hopefully we don't offend anybody. That's never the intention, but
Plus, when we first started thinking about doing a podcast, like we were just at the bar and stuff and just talking to people, just putting it out there and stuff like that. And then we just, like the first couple of days, we like talked it into existence. We had some great conversations and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I was like, we need to stop talking. We're having all these conversations. Like, if we had a microphone here and could record all this right now, it'd be great.
So this is a good time for this question. Why Comfy Boyz?
Okay, so we were sitting at the bar and somebody was like, well, what are you guys going to call it? It was Mario.
Yeah.
Mario
Shout
from
out
Gaslight.
Mario.
Yeah. And who's going to be on the podcast, by the way?
Eventually,
at some
we'll get
point.
him on.
Yeah. But he was like, what are you guys going to be called? And I was like, I don't know. So Dax
Shepherd
has a
armchair expert.
Armchair expert. Yeah. And I was like, man, that's a really cool name. Like, I wonder, like, it sounds chill. It's kind of inviting,
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, why don't we call it Lazy Days? And we'll
Yeah.
just do it every Sunday. And then I think Sergio ended up saying like, oh yeah, we'll just be a couple of comfy boys on some lazy days.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, comfy boys, let's do that. Let's
Right.
use that instead. And then Mario's like, he started giving us shit about it and saying
like,
how
it's the
gay it
Comfy
sounded.
Boys, yeah. The Comfy Boys are here.
So he kept giving us shit about it. And then like, I think we saw him like a week later and he's like, yo, you know what? Like, I've been thinking about it and Comfy Boys is actually pretty sick. So we ended up sticking with that. We got Fishbach. Everyone here knows who's on the phone knows who Matt Fishbach is.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyway, Fishbach knows how to use Photoshop and all that, especially because of what he does for his job. And we still got to get like our pictures up on Facebook.
Yeah. This is a work in progress. So, yeah, we got to make like cover picture and everything. So,
I mean, this is not.
You have to get all the platforms. You have to get Facebook and Instagram.
yeah, it's hard. Yeah,
Snapchat.
I started the Facebook and the Twitter, and yeah, the first step for me was just basically just getting something out there, and then we could go from there.
Yeah.
Well, that's good, man. I'm glad that you guys kind of went that route because some people are like, I'm not releasing it till everything is exactly just so. And like, honestly, you're going to be better off. You just go.
Just do it,
start
yeah.
going.
Yeah, and we'll learn.
Yeah, you
and
make
things will
tweaks
get
as
better.
you go.
Surprisingly enough, though, like I've probably listened to our podcast from yesterday like 12 times.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, dude.
Oh, dang. I
It's-
only listened maybe
it's
like
scripted
that
in my
one
mind.
time.
No, I've listened to like 12 times.
6 hours of your life just listening to the same stuff.
Right.
Pretty much. Well, because I was trying to understand, try and catch any flaws,
Self-critique a little
Yeah,
bit.
kind of self-critique it. But honestly, I thought it came out really, really well.
Yeah, that's what I heard. My sisters hit me up. They listened, and shout out to you guys. But they're like, yeah, for first podcast and everything sounded good and good topics. And they've thought about stuff that we talked about before and stuff like that, breweries. And I think like everybody has a brewery idea, some point in their life. Everybody has those bar talks. Oh, let's get together and do this or blah, blah, blah. So,
Yeah, but there's one motherfucker that did it, and his name's Chad Pollock.
yeah.
That came like one conversation turned into millions of dollars of investment, and now they have their own company.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, shout out to Backwards
Backwards
Distillery
Distillery.
Yeah.
because we're gonna try and get Chad Pollock here, or Chad Pollock. He self-critiqued admittance of being a strange person and hates talking to people, but I hope I can get him on to like do this. So if it's not him, it would be his sister.
Amber.
In some manner or something.
Yeah,
Well,
everybody has their quirks.
And
stuff
another
like
shout
that.
out to them because they shut down when they started to notice this Corona stuff spike. They shut down the bar before, or the tasting room before it was mandated. A lot of places kind of chilled and just waited to see. And they, as soon as they thought it was like bad for their customers, they took the financial loss and shut it down. So
Yeah.
Wow.
We definitely got to get them on here at some point. Also, okay, so we definitely need to talk about this whole coronavirus
yeah.
thing, and that was
Yeah.
kind of one of the main reasons of getting Tom on here, because Florida is becoming like a new epicenter of the coronavirus. Me being from Florida, and I have lots of friends there, so it's a little worrisome. Terry Janowski was just here, Tom.
No way, really?
Yeah, he came out here for a week and, pissed me off every day. But it was great having him.
Shout out Terry.
Yeah, shout out to Terry. Terry's also going to be on here at some point. That dude is a fucking...
He's an animal.
It's seriously, I don't
He
understand.
had stories. I never really knew Terry like you knew him, and we've had this conversation before, but you were close friends with him, and I just knew of Terry from the stories about Terry.
Yeah. Our whole group on Terry's side, we were a bunch of fucking hooligans. We were getting in trouble and doing stupid shit all the time. Luckily, I never got in too much trouble. It's mostly Terry. But from where Terry was and where he's at now, holy shit, that dude is literally an animal. And he's, self-made, and he is intelligent through himself, as far as he reads a lot of books. He tries to find out knowledge on anything and everything he can. And so it's going to be a good podcast when we get him on here for sure.
Yeah.
But
I just imagine somebody like that who at a young age was so actively doing so many things. Like, you can attribute that to, like, they mentally, they just had so many things in their head, and their outlet at that young age was doing wild shit. And now that he's grown up, that same brain is now being put to the power of, like, let me get shit done and be motivated to, like, figure things out. And
yeah, and the great thing about him too is that he didn't forget his friends. He, through all of the success that he's been doing and whatnot, or been having, he has, brought Matt Fishbach in, and Matt's doing great working for him, and just all kinds of things. And he's very motivating. He gives a lot of, I got this book in the mail like a month ago, right? And I was like, who the fuck sent it? Like, I don't know what this book is. How to jumpstart your or how to manage your money and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, who the fuck sent this? And literally like 2 weeks later, Terry texts me randomly, and he's like, hey man, did you get that book I sent you? I was like, I almost threw it the fuck away. I didn't know if there was fucking what was
spam or something.
Yeah.
No, what was that powder?
Oh, anthrax.
I didn't know
yeah.
there was anthrax on the pages or something. Someone's trying to kill me.
who do you think you are that somebody's gonna send you?
Yeah, you're not important enough for that shit.
I just want to be the first to say fuck all three of you.
Right.
Oh.
I got exes, man. All right, so we haven't had Chad introduce himself, and
Right.
Not that anyone cares, but Chad Quinn, here you go. Welcome.
You guys are fucks.
The volume was down on that one, so
Press it again. Chad Quinn.
it's coming for you.
All right, Chad, go ahead.
I'm Chad Quinn. I'm Canadian. I've lived in Wyoming.
You really had to throw that?
That's who I am.
Literally everyone just turned off the recording.
Yeah,
Like, no one wants
it's
to
done.
listen anymore.
All right, it's a wrap.
Go ahead.
No, I'm Canadian, and I've lived all over the place. I've been in Wyoming 12 years. I'm a building inspector, like to travel, and
You were born in Thailand.
yeah,
Doesn't speak any Thai.
I can order food in Thai. That's about it. The important shit.
Are you one of those cross-dresser ones?
Lady boy, that's you. You're the lady boy.
Whatever.
That sounds like a very interesting background. I know you guys just kind of played that down, but you were born in Thailand, grew up in Canada, moved to Wyoming. It sounds like you got a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we moved like every 2 to 3 years when I grew up. So I was born in Thailand, and I lived in Borneo, China, Canada, Alaska, Louisiana, Wyoming. So it was a ride. It was an interesting childhood for sure.
Why'd you move around so much?
Oh, my dad's in the oil field like you, so
I thought you were a military brat.
no military. There isn't that much of a Canadian military anyways.
There's probably like 3 people.
Yeah, he's putting his country on blast. All right, Chad, was that it? Moving on.
What else do you want me to talk about?
I don't know. What was it like living in different places? You know, for me,
Growing
I lived
up,
in
yeah.
Denver. I went to four different elementary schools and 4 different high schools.
Well, like
3 different
Sergio
high
was
schools.
saying, I'm naturally an introvert, and I had to become more extroverted just to adapt because I was always the new kid.
You're still working on the extrovert part.
I know. I turtle up sometimes, but yeah, it was different. I was always the new kid. We moved pretty much every 2 years, so I got to see a lot of cool stuff and learn a lot of new things. So that part of it was really cool.
Did you ever notice like a difference in your popularity level from like
Different places
that you lived? Like,
Yeah, I mean, some places you acclimate a lot easier.
I know
than other places.
I know in Colorado, like I wasn't a nerd or a geek or a loser or anything like that. I was in a band, so what's up?
Yeah,
But
we can
like,
talk about that later too.
yeah, but still, you're gonna let the cat in?
No, it's because there's an echo, I think. So I'm take one for the team.
All right. Serge is like deathly allergic to cats,
And it
so it's
just
gonna be funny.
wandered
He's gonna
up in
start.
here.
He's gonna start getting bloodshot eyes and
I'll
scratching
start
his neck
sneezing.
like a crackhead.
But yeah, there's an echo, but I
There's
think we're
always an
good
echo.
now. It was pretty prevalent to me, so
You guys can put some like cloth up on the walls or something. And
Yeah, cool. You want to donate the money then? Slap
Right.
dick.
Sure.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, anyway, so I wasn't the most popular kid, but I by far wasn't a loser. But like from when I went from Colorado to Florida, it was like a total flip. I was kind of like,
it's just chilling on my lap now.
but I was kind of like the kid, in school. Everyone knew me, and I had a lot of friends. I had a lot of friends from different high schools. Tom Adams, who's on with us, being one of them. 'Cause you went to Nature Coast, didn't you?
So actually, coincidentally, I think you graduated from Central, right?
I did. Fuck Central. by
So
the way.
my first year in high school, the year that we would have been in school together, I was at Nature Coast, yeah. But then I ended up going to Central for my sophomore, junior, and senior year.
What did you think of
But-
Central? They really picked on me a lot there. As far,
Why?
I mean, like
Like
the
the faculty?
administration.
You're a huge corn-fed white kid. Like I don't even know who is picking on you.
I mean, like the faculty, because I had a lot of anger problems when I was growing up.
Well,
and,
yeah, that's just because you were, very extroverted at that time, and you are definitely willing to speak your opinion and didn't care who was listening, whether they were an adult or a young person, and you definitely, from what I remember, you weren't afraid of getting in trouble,
Yeah, that's definitely. I'm like the dad now.
yeah. Right.
Sergio's the dad.
I'm the dad, Papa Serge. And
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're more
Shout
of the
out.
dad when I'm not around. But literally, like there has been a couple times Sergio saved my ass because I was.
That's true.
Sergio's always the calm, cool, collected one. And when he leaves, it's time to go. It's time to go.
Yeah, Sergio's
Shit.
at 12
I'm like
o'clock. Nothing
Cinderella,
good happens
yeah.
after 12 o'clock. No, but
Back to your question though, hardest place was Louisiana because most
you
of those
probably didn't fit in.
Yeah, most of those people had been there forever, and they had their friend groups, and so
Yeah.
it was tough to meet people and stuff there because a lot of their parents grew up together, and they had.
Get off of him.
I already shoot him off once. He's back up. But yeah, a lot of their parents grew up together, their grandparents, so they were all like entrenched in their friend group. So that was the weirdest place for sure that I lived. A lot of other places, like all the Asian countries. We lived on a compound or in a neighborhood with other
That's
people.
what I feel like you would be the hardest to fit in at.
It was actually pretty easy because I was younger at the time. Like I moved back.
So the
north
kids
of-
didn't know how to hate you yet. It was virtually. What
Well,
it
they're
was.
all
No,
in the same
everybody's-
situation though, is what I'm
Oh,
saying.
gotcha.
Everyone's a transplant from somewhere else.
Because if I'm watching, Tokyo Drift, Fast and the Furious,
right.
Yeah,
no
he
one
was-
liked him.
Well, he was in an all Japanese school there. That was
Well, they had
I was in an international
Lil
school.
Bow Wow. Was that Lil Bow Wow?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Lil Bow Wow.
Yeah, he ended up liking him. It was definitely a different transition here, but I felt like when I moved to Wyoming, I fit in pretty well. I met a lot.
You're a
of
little
people.
reckless at first. I knew you right at the beginning, or pretty close to.
Well, you have to understand, like living in a place like Florida. I mean, it's pretty go there. Like, And when you get in an argument with someone there and you're like, yo,
It's all
fuck you.
hyphy. Yeah.
Like,
handle
they're
your
like, yo,
business.
fuck you.
Yeah, you handle
Let's
it
go.
there.
Yeah. Like, here, people aren't like that. There's a lot of talking before anything actually happens.
True.
And I just wasn't used to that kind of behavior. And so I was a little bit, I jumped the gun a lot.
Little froggy.
Yeah. And I've always kind of been that way. I mean, Florida, was just a good fit. But I like Wyoming. I like living in a small town. There's certain things I don't like about it. But
Dude, you were living in Florida and you had a bright yellow GTO, like loud as hell. I mean, you were that guy. You know what I mean? Like, he was, young 20s, driving around, kind of a hot rod at that time. I mean, he definitely lived up to it, you know what I memean?
Well, yeah, I had nitrous on it, and I went to the racetrack and raced at Orlando Speedway. I liked cars. I liked racing cars. That has since kind of gone down a little bit because we need trucks here, and I tried the whole sports car thing, but got tired of switching tires all the time.
Yeah, I have a sports car, but I just have all season tires.
But you have a work truck too.
Yeah,
so then if it gets to
Mister,
What's a sports car? Like, what kind of sports car do you have?
I have an Evo 10.
Dog. Today it's a cat.
Oh, okay, that's rad, dude. That's a cool car.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. It's one of my dream cars. So right when I had a good job,
lock him in another room or something.
yeah, I had a good job. So then I figured I would buy one of my dream cars. So
That's pretty rad. How old were you? Like, what ages were you when you were in Thailand going to these international schools and stuff? I mean, you were from like infancy, obviously, to like what age before you left?
Kindergarten, first grade is when I moved back. So there wasn't that much of that international schooling. That's why I said it wasn't hard to fit in, because I was just a kid. Kids get along with kids. Like prejudice and racism and stuff is learned behavior. So that's stuff that you pick up
too early
later.
for that stuff. So, I mean, do you have any like deep-rooted memories of that? I mean, I don't remember shit from first grade. Like, I don't remember anything until like I was in middle school. I have such a terrible memory, but I imagine being in such a crazy environment and moving around, you probably have some pretty
honestly, my first
memories.
memory is on the Great Wall of China. We were looking through the portholes.
damn.
And I remember that vividly. That's my first solid memory. And I was about kindergarten age at the time. So
that's incredible.
That was
that's
my
really
first
cool.
memory.
Right?
We are very cultured.
A little bit. Let's talk about Corona a little bit, especially after talking about Asia and Florida. So how's it down there? What are you experiencing in your daily life right now?
I mean, the only reason why I'm nervous about talking about this is because I don't want to sound ignorant or anything. So I was telling you guys before we really got on air that I actually got sick. So I live right now with my girlfriend and her sister, and she went down to Naples and she was around somebody that was like her mother and their family, and they were sick. She came up here. She brought something up here, and we don't know what it was. It could have very well just been, the seasonal flu.
Yeah.
So I had, a sore throat, completely stuffy nose, headaches. And on Monday morning, I was supposed to go to work. That Sunday I started getting sick. I texted my boss. I was like, hey, man, I'm not going to come in, blah, blah, blah. Like, all right. And I don't go to work on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Those are my school days. So I was still at home on Tuesday. And, this whole thing started developing. So this is not this past week, but the week before. So it really started to kind of like catch traction. And I texted him and I was like, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not feeling great. And I don't want to be around, I don't want to be around other coworkers and customers and it'd be kind of like, off-putting to people. So I stayed home again on Wednesday and then it just continued to escalate. So I basically stayed home for about 5 straight days and just watched the news every day. So I was watching it before last week thinking at that point, this can't get any worse. This is really why. And, I'm taking in the news too. I'm not going out and like going to the stores and stuff like that and seeing people still active. So I just didn't see it continuing to go the way that it's going right now. So I, eventually got better or feeling better. and still that whole time you're like, okay, you know, they're telling you these are the symptoms. They're telling you how long you're supposed to quarantine. I don't know if I'm got the coronavirus or not,
Well,
or
and you
COVID-19.
can't get a test easily right away either. So that's
Right. And that was my thing. Like it was either, so this whole long story happened. I tried to basically use my insurance to go and find a place to go get tested. I found out that my insurance was not in place at my current workplace because I was technically considered an intern or whatever. So I wasn't even supposed to be receiving benefits. They ended up paying me back everything that I paid in the past year. I got like an $800 check from my work, but you know, so I couldn't even use my insurance to go get tested if there was one available. So I kind of, yeah, I mean, I don't really know how to describe it other than that. I just was like looking basically at all of the information that the CDC and, you know, that you're hearing over, you know, the news and stuff, and just kind of figured, all right, I don't have it. I'm pretty solid. I don't know for sure, but I need to not go to work and be sick or spreading any kind of virus. I don't know what the length of contagion is or anything like that.
did paranoia set in at all?
I mean, I like at that point, the only people that were severely getting really sick were 60 and above or pre-existing conditions. I don't have any of that. So I was like, all right, if I get the coronavirus, the only reason why I'm staying home is to, you know, just be a decent human being and not spread it to people who would theoretically die. Right. And so I went to work Monday, and, you know, everybody had the same opinion. And so I live in St. Pete, Florida, which is just outside of Tampa, and I work in Sarasota. So, you know, I kind of got a little bit of a, you know, I got to feel out the climate here, got to feel out the climate at work, and people were, this is serious, but we still got to work. So that's kind of the pretense that I've been under this past week. So I went to work Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and, you know, I feel fine. And you're seeing people who are, I don't know, man, there's a lot of mechanics. So they're more so afraid for their jobs. They're not necessarily afraid of the virus. And there's some people who are sitting really on the right side of things, you know, as far as like right wing. And then there's other people that are on the more liberal side of things who are like, you know, this is the worst thing, you know, blah, 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 and all that stuff. And so you're kind of getting from both sides. And at this point, you know, I know that New York is completely upside down right now. And I know that, you know,
Louisiana's bad too. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even, so like at a certain point, when you sit at home and you watch the news every single day, like this past week, I haven't watched the news. So
yeah,
I heard you saying, well, I heard you saying that Florida is becoming the new epicenter, and I'm like, you know, I don't know where, I don't know where you were referring to, because, and I feel pretty ignorant at this point for not knowing that. I guess I know that there's a lot of cases here, and I know that it's growing, and like I'm watching some of the trackers and stuff like that, but I'm really hearing more so via word of mouth that like New York is really bad, New Orleans is really bad, parts of California are really bad.
New York, I mean, they're the whole state, they account for like half the cases of the coronavirus for the U.S. So
the numbers are ridiculous over there.
It's unbelievable. Thousands and thousands of cases.
I think the last thing I saw was like U.S. had 50,000 cases and like 25,000 confirmed are from New York.
And we're sitting at 19,000 just a couple days ago.
Yeah.
That was the last time I checked.
Yeah,
well, it's just exponential curve, you know what I mean?
Well, it doubled, and then it's going to double again. So it was like 40,000 last week. And then, like, I mean, you talk to a couple people, and they're like, all right, April is going to be this really terrible, terrible time. And, you know, you go out, so you look on the news, and you see people in full hazmat suits.
Yeah.
And then you go out, and you see other parts where there's people in hospitals and they're just like wearing masks and maybe, you know, some protective eyewear and stuff. And you're like, how do I gauge myself in between hazmat suit versus, you know, people at the grocery store? Yeah. And I think the scariest part of it is the uncertainty. And, and I feel myself uncertain because I don't really know. I'm just trying to be a decent human being, but you know, you still have to
wash your hands.
Live.
Yeah, that's right. Hopefully, if anything good comes of this, some hygiene. Some people need some hygiene.
Yeah.
Well, and like, obviously, coming from being in New York, I was there like a month or so.
In December.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if anybody else here has been to New York, but it's definitely understandable how people get other people sick there
so
you're
easily. Close quarters all the time.
All the time, man. Like, so this
That's kind of protected us in Wyoming.
I had this friend there, and I used to have to like bring a change of clothes to like go into the apartment, and I would have to change because I had rode on the subway, and virtually they were a germaphobe, and
So that was a common thing back in December for them.
Well, I mean,
I think just for this one person he's talking about.
It was just this one person, but like, it's crazy though. Like, needless to say, she does not have the virus, so it does not surprise me.
And everyone that is a germaphobe and stuff, all their behaviors are now validated because
Right, yeah, no, they're totally feeling like, see,
I told you.
I told all you idiots.
This 20-gallon hand sanitizer thing I bought is justified.
The craziest thing is, did you guys ever, I mean, years ago, did you ever watch the TV show Doomsday Preppers?
Yes.
I've seen that one, yeah.
Dude, they are living underground right now.
Some of those people's, like, so some people were like, I'm waiting for the financial crash. I'm waiting for, nuclear warfare. And some people were like, I'm waiting for, like, basically a mass,
the next epidemic,
virus, an epidemic. And, like, those people must feel, like, unbelievably validated at this moment,
Mm-hmm.
And
If I spent all that money for that, I'd feel extremely validated and happy.
Either that or if you're a hoarder.
We're still not in we're not in a post-apocalyptic environment, though. Like, we still haven't gotten to that point where people are.
Yeah, that's next. All these people that died from the coronavirus are coming back as fucking zombies.
At least they're mostly old, so they'll be slow-moving zombies.
Hopefully.
I think the thing that most recently struck my attention this past week is I happened to turn on the news, and I don't have any cable, so I'm watching like YouTube Live. I'm watching YouTube TV. I have like a couple of apps on my Fire Stick that like give me live news, and so like you're not really getting like the most live stuff sometimes. Sometimes you're going to get like backlog of stories that have played like throughout the week and shit. Mm-hmm. And one of the stories was they basically like put up 10 pictures of people who have died from the virus with like a little mini background story of who they were, and it was literally 10 people. And to think that like, I mean, I felt like shit watching that, and then to kind of think like, okay, this is 10 people of 10,000, 20,000, tens of thousands of people that have died. And, I think a lot of the main point, like a lot of it was like watching Italy, like basically just like go up in flames, man. It was,
so virtually,
it's really sad, man.
What I watch while I'm at work is, and I don't always get to watch it because I'm, typing up paperwork on this.
Is he?
Yeah, but I can hear it. And I do watch the YouTube Live, like MSNBC. And that's virtually where I heard that like Florida's cases are growing substantially quick. And
yeah, do you think it's because like all those kids went to spring break?
That's what I was going to mention, that a lot of people
and that one kid
are carriers, and
that one kid that got on and was like, we've been waiting for spring break for a long time, and like we're here to party,
right? Like, Miami, baby.
If I get coronavirus, I get coronavirus. It's like
that kid's not getting a job after
now
he
has corona. He actually has the coronavirus. Like, and I guess he like publicly apologized and stuff because a bunch of people were giving him shit. It's like, you guys
hopefully, like honestly, dude, dude, that was like the most of the week that I was home. One of the most frustrating things to watch was like watching the whole thing develop. And here we are in the state of Florida, just honestly, nationwide, we have the worst rap sheet of all the retards. And here we are.
Florida man isn't a meme at all.
Yeah, man, like you guys had the zombie outbreak back like a few years back, people eating each other's faces and shit.
With the bath salts?
Bath salts. Oh man, the bath salts thing was ridiculous. It's just like, but the reality for me is, and I'm a biased Floridian, and I just feel like these aren't all Floridians, okay? Like all these stories, these aren't all people who live. The climate is just warmer, so people from all over the place come here.
Yeah.
And we had all these college kids from whoever knows where the hell else they came from,
probably,
and they're like on the beaches,
giving you guys bad rap.
Yeah, I mean, it was just. I'm not 21, but I'm not 35, so like I'm not old enough to be not associated, but I'm not young enough that I'm like, still that dumb or really feeling like I'm associated with those people, but like just feeling like, somewhat that like, these kids are somewhat in my age group because we're all like in our 20s and stuff. Some of them, obviously, some of them are like 18, 19 or whatever, but like, it's just really disappointing to see, people's like inability to have sympathy for other people. And, obviously at this point we're talking going to school to be an economist, and, it's just, it really is arrogance to think that all these people that are being affected, maybe you're not being affected because you're a young person or you don't think you're going to die, which is not the case anymore. People understand that
Right.
younger people are dying from this, but even if you don't have an emotional connection to like a grandparent or somebody who may possibly be in a very detrimental position, like who do you think is supporting this massive economy that we're having right now? All these older people that are buying retirement homes and spending money in restaurants and all this shit, they're retiring and they're like literally have all this cash flow that they've prepared and that they're spending. Like, why do you think? I mean, I understand that they're young and dumb, so they don't really know, but those people, not just I mean, purely out of humanity, like those people matter, but also for your own livelihood. If you want to have a job and be successful, those people matter. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That was definitely something that I just was.
When you were talking about the 10 people that they profiled, and everyone like is a wife, a parent, a father, a son. So you have to think about, you might infect somebody that's up here, but they might go to their grandparents' house to visit or something like that, and they can infect somebody that it would be a very serious situation for them.
Yeah, well, then that's why, like, I worry, and I worry for our techs, and I know some of the techs are worried as well. I mean, but life goes on. People still want their money.
Are you doing anything? Are you guys, like, as a company doing anything different to try to prevent it?
So, I have my own, like, wipes and stuff, and so that's when I sent that Snapchat out, and it says on the wipes, it says kills bacteria from cold and flu virus, and then I wrote on like permanent marker next to it plus
Corona.
COVID-19, like because it didn't say COVID-19 on it. So, but I should do it for every car, and sometimes it gets hard because I get really, really busy. And yes, those extra seconds, because when I do wipe it off, I wipe it off how it should be wiped off. But usually it's for like the more elderly people that I'll go
take
and
extra care.
I will, yeah, and I'll go out there to the car with them, so they can visually see me wiping everything down on their car.
It's like the craziest thing though, because my girlfriend just went to the store and she's like, it was full of people who are over the age of 60, like clearly over the age of 60.
Well, so the stores here, like
yeah,
Target,
they do special hours.
Yeah,
for
it's like they got 2 hours, like in the morning or whatever, that they are supposed to come in.
Right.
It's only 60 and above.
Yeah, it's like 8 to 9 or something, whatever. The first 2 hours that they're open, they've been opening later because they've been stocking in the morning or whatever. So,
but I worry about myself in the sense of I'm getting in multiple cars all the time.
Well, and for me, in my job, I'm building inspector. We inspect houses, and if you go in a house that has it, there's a chance because it survives on hard surfaces.
And it ups your chance too when you're sniffing people's panties and stuff.
You got issues.
Way to make light of the situation.
right.
But we're not letting people come to building inspections now, so we're not
That's
having
smart,
any
though.
of the clients there because normally the buyers and the buyers' agents come to the inspections, and we're just having no one come to those inspections so that we can limit exposure as much as possible.
I bet you guys are getting more shit done and way quicker.
Yeah, it does go by a little quicker because you're not explaining as much stuff.
Yeah, well, it's like you notice something in the paint, right? And you're
I
like,
just take a picture, put it in my notes.
no, but like when they have a customer there, you know, his house or whatever, and you're like looking at something, they're like, what are you looking at?
Well, and then you got
something
to
wrong?
explain what could
Right.
cause it
Yeah,
and everything
yeah.
like that.
It's like,
whole
it's probably
background.
great. It's probably great relief for you.
It's a little more boring though because you're not talking to people. I'm just literally by myself all day, so
Yeah.
that part of it is a little different.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I can understand that. For our office, they sent like 80% of the building home. So on my floor, there's only like 4 or 5 of us there, and we each have our own offices. And then there's like
how did they
20
determine who got sent home?
I
and who
think
didn't?
it's just like people, if they had kids or if they lived with somebody that was high,
High risk. Or
high
something.
risk, exactly. If they were high risk, they would send them home. So
Are they sending them home like with some sort of pay, or like how's the company handling that?
Yeah,
as far
yeah.
as,
So
like,
it's all everybody's working from home. They all have laptops and they could all connect to the VPN and all that stuff. So it's just like business as usual. You're just working from home.
The company
Do
he works for
you?
is really good to their employees, so other places aren't doing as well about that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I work for like a small family-owned oil company,
Right.
and they've been in the business since I don't know, like 1940s
They
or
are
50s.
very nice people. They came in and had their car serviced, and I really enjoyed them.
Nice. What were you gonna say,
Do
Tom?
you guys think that like what do you guys expect? I mean, obviously we're all young. We're not like, scientists or, I'm not really an economist. I'm just learning economics
Right.
and stuff.
What's our opinion on?
What is your opinion on like
What the future
back end of
holds?
this thing looks like? Yeah, like do you think that everyday life will forever be different, or do you guys think? I mean, because you got to imagine like music festivals, right? Like, is that a thing of
Yeah.
the past, or do you think that
No,
people are still going to be sweating on top of each other in groups of thousands?
I think it's definitely a wake up call for everybody. I think things will eventually get back to normal, but I don't know the time. I'm thinking I'd say late summer before everything really goes back to normal.
Well, they're closing the schools.
Well, that's what I'm
for the rest of the
saying.
year.
Well, it's till the 17th now, and they'll probably bump it back again.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll close
So,
everything.
One of the physicians on the news of the MSNBC that I was watching, and he said that everyone needs to accept the reality of the fact that school's probably not going to be open for the rest of the year. And it's smart, in my opinion, because if we're really going to try and bend the curve, and this is kind of where it's like
Flatten the
Wyoming,
curve.
yeah, that's what I meant, flatten the curve, like where I think like Wyoming kind of took its time and like waited for it to start increasing, and then it's like, okay, we need to flatten our own curve. It's like we should have just shut down
Well, it's
right
because
away.
we didn't really have that many cases, and the only cases
Yeah,
that
but
we
how do
did
you
have-
not get cases? By shutting down.
Yeah,
I know, but
Like,
he's not
You're
wrong.
already reducing the risk. If you've seen everybody else is starting to get to this point, you need to jump on the train and do it to flatten the curve for us.
We do
think
have
they
the
did,
benefit
though.
of a well dispersed population.
True.
I mean, we don't have that many people in quite a bit of area, so
I think shit's about to hit the fan within the next
Yeah,
2
well,
weeks.
I mean, plus you can't just go. I mean, the large part of what these governors and these large political parties, our local, state government, and including the federal government, is really worried about is, if you're not at that point yet where you have a lot of cases and stuff like that, the sooner you shut down the economy, the sooner the impacts are going to be widespread.
Right.
So, I mean, you got to think about, just like we were just talking about, your company sent 80% of that floor home, and maybe some of them can work from home, but like obviously that company specifically, but that's not the case for everybody.
Exactly.
And this whole unemployment thing is just getting,
It's gonna be
Well,
crazy.
and it's going to
wild.
take some time to rebound. And I think this is back to your question initially. I think it's going to change how we interact socially a little bit, even afterwards, because people are realizing that a lot of more employees can work from home. So a lot of
it's like
people
unnecessary almost, right?
yeah, a lot of people that are working remotely now, I think they might just stay remote or go remote part time instead of going back into the office, and we'll see a lot less brick and mortar offices and stuff in the long term future because people are realizing the work's still getting done for these people and these jobs that can be handled via computer.
I think economically we're going to bounce back pretty quick. This is not like the
I don't know
recession.
about that.
I don't.
I
But
think
this
we're
is,
gonna
not
get-
another-
like, this is not like the recession where we, gave out a bunch of money because everything was crashing because...
I think everything's gonna crash because nobody's gonna be going back to work.
Well, things are going to crash, obviously. All I'm saying is I think it's going to be a lot easier to recover from it because this is because of a pandemic from a sickness. This isn't...
There's some other stuff going on, especially in Wyoming, because our economy is largely natural gas and oil and resource based. And Saudi Arabia and who else was it? China, Russia flooded the market, so oil was tanking even before this thing.
That's
hit.
our problem.
Yeah, but we're still talking about us.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, that is definitely...
So we're gonna end.
But oil's always up and down, though.
It is. It's a
We're
boom and
constantly
bust.
fluctuating.
Yeah.
Everyone knew it was coming.
Yeah,
It has to
always
correct.
has to.
It has to correct, but
there's going to be a lot of very interesting corrections that are going to happen. And I agree with, I'm not sure, I couldn't differentiate who was saying it exactly, but the fact that a
You
large
couldn't tell
portion
my
of these
voice
companies, well, it wasn't you.
I got that
A
sexy
lot of
voice.
these, a lot of these companies that are realizing that some of the work is still getting done, even though these people are going home. Like, what sense is it to bring them back into the office if they can efficiently do their job, from using a VPN from their home, still involved in the company, sending emails and getting stuff done? I mean,
Well, and ultimately, the overhead's lower if they're working from home. So
True, but I think where a lot of people are worried is because they think that production will go down. It's a lot
he's
easier to
saying
work
gonna
away
have
from distractions.
We're going to have some data that actually supports or denies this.
Right.
We'll just have to
theory.
wait for it.
Yeah.
But I think that's why mostly people weren't working from home, is because they felt like production would go down. There's a lot of distractions at home.
Yeah.
Did you guys see there was the Weather Channel put out basically the satellite footage of all the cities that are under these like stay at home or basically, the shelter in place, which isn't a good term,
carbon levels are better. The air quality is improving. What was it? Venice? Was it Venice? The water was clear.
Yep. Yeah, you can find in the first time in decades.
All these greenhouse people, and I am 100% supportive of that, and I think that is a definite correction that we need to make. But
they're getting like hard, factual, right now data. What if you shut the switch off? What would it look like?
Yeah.
Well, we are shutting the switch off.
In China, for the first time ever, some of the cities in China aren't operating in a high level of smog and pollution.
It's everywhere. Yeah, that's the thing, is that we can correct it, and it will happen a lot quicker if we actually make the jump to make a difference.
Well, and that's what I was saying. It's going to make people, this period of time is going to make people realize that the way we're always doing things isn't necessarily the right way. It's just
right.
Dude, Earth is getting the rest. It's created.
It's
you ever seen
Did you guys,
World War Z?
Oh yeah, that's straight zombie stuff though.
No, but
is that the Brad Pitt one?
Yeah, but in World War Z, when he's talking to this disease specialist or whatever, he's like, the Earth will produce one of these sicknesses like SARS or the Spanish flu or to get its break virtually. And obviously in the movie it was like this overblown thing, where it's like everyone's turning into zombies, but like this is the break that Earth was, needing.
The History Channel. Really, go ahead, Tom.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just think it's really interesting to see, like, historically, the way that people classified these viruses. Back in the day, like the Black Plague was like, oh, this is God smiting us, and you're like kind of seeing firsthand as like this is a chemical thing that we can trace with scientists and how it's basically originated from an animal, and basically once it mutated to a certain point, it could be transferred to a human, which then it mutated again, and like just to see that like at one day and age, we basically as humans were like, this is because God is angry at us. And now it's like,
I was just going to say, I don't necessarily believe the story coming out of China that it's from bat soup.
No, it's from pangolins or whatever.
Yeah, no,
I still don't. I don't
totally
believe
debunked theory. That was a rumor.
It's not bat soup.
So what were you saying?
It's a pangolin. It's like it looks like an armadillo, I guess, without its shell. I think
that would be an interesting thing to see.
Armadillos are huge disease carriers. They have rabies.
And they are all over Florida.
Well, that's the armadillo itself, but apparently this thing did, from what they researched, did come out of China. And it did, I mean, all small rodents like that, and that,
well, the plague was from rats.
No shade on rodents. Mm-hmm. No shade on rodents or anything, but like, birds, rats, raccoons, rodents like that, they're able to exist and live and carry these diseases.
Yeah.
And if it does mutate,
you need to watch
human.
There's a plug for this movie, Contagion.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. But so from what I know, that's a different movie. No, whatever.
There's two. There's the one where it's the monkey giving like the AIDS virus to everyone, like a super strong AIDS virus. That one's on Netflix.
Oh, I thought
Contagion's a different one.
Oh,
it's like people are getting this flu, and everyone's like, once you get it, you got like 4 days, and it's really interesting because you're seeing like this in a movie form, and it's like very accurate to like what we're going through right now.
Yeah.
Except
the
people have a little
craziest thing
longer.
was, did you guys see that fucking? There was a Netflix special that was basically a docu-series that came out that was released like January or February, called Pandemic. It
Yeah.
was literally about how they were hypothesizing that the next pandemic is going to be this huge fucking deal, and literally like the next month, here we are looking at it. Like, I just thought that was very on the nose. It was very
Yeah,
weird.
go
you know?
figure, right?
I think this honestly is going to maybe be a reoccurring situation to where, because the population is getting more dense all over the
Right.
world, and we travel more, it's easier to spread everything. So I think this is going to be something that we're going to have to think about, even if it's not COVID-19. It might be something else in the future.
Right.
Definitely. Which they're saying that this is the fastest traveling virus because of, you know, how quickly and how efficiently people move about the globe. I mean,
Right.
it moved way faster from China to surrounding countries to eventually the United States. Just because, I mean, people get on flights and they're on the other part of the world, like, you know, in days, and not just one person, like tens of thousands of people are moving around the globe all the time.
Yeah, I was listening to this one Joe Rogan clip where they had a couple people that had the COVID virus like on a cruise, and then they got them off all the cruise, and then they were testing the ship and all this stuff,
The surfaces.
the surfaces, and they could still see the coronavirus there on the surfaces like 20 days later or something like that.
Yeah, it was at least 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And
Those poor people that got on that.
oh, I know.
ship.
They were stuck.
Well, they were
like
they,
weeks,
they were
right?
having issues like finding a country that would let them dock and let everybody off.
Yeah.
And I forget, it was Croatia, I think.
They probably had to pay a literal boatload of
Croatia
money
ended up
to
letting
get
them
on
dock.
there.
But there's this
A
couple
literal
that they
boatload
can't
of
get
money.
back to the United States. They won't let them back.
Yeah.
That whole
Well, you
thing
gotta
was just
quarantine
crazy.
people.
I mean, just the idea that basically just because they were on a ship, like, I mean, if you've ever been on a cruise, how many times do you pass the same chair or bar or
Right.
whatever?
Well, then
It's
you
not
can-
like they're
day?
deep
But they
cleaning
got the
every
they got the
day.
washy people.
I've never been.
Privilege.
on a
Where's
cruise.
Square
Privilege
washy
over
washy?
here.
What you go on vacations
just
more
fucking with
fucking
you.
anyone.
But I've
I
never
know.
been on a cruise.
Me neither. We've been planning ahead.
I'd rather go to an all inclusive.
Yeah, for sure.
Cruises are just like they very set schedules, and I don't like being on the set schedule. I like being able to do whatever the fuck I want.
And a lot of
I get
them only
motion
dock
sickness,
for
so-
a little while, so you're only able to spend a few hours in some of these docks.
Oh,
And
dude, we went to Cabo, and Cabo's like beautiful, right? Like I love Cabo. I've been there, I think 3 times now. And we go there, and we were only docked for like 4 hours. It's like, what the fuck are we even stopping here for? Like,
Just stopping to eat and come back, I guess.
they're resupplying and fueling.
but they have like a
but
ton of shit that you can do there. But
Yeah.
like,
You don't
because
got
we
time
weren't-
to
we
do
don't
it.
have time to
the
do any
crew
of
and
it.
picking up the other half of the crew.
Yeah, we didn't have time to do any of it. I was like, well, fuck this. But yeah. I don't know, man.
I don't know, man.
Serge,
I
have
would be
you?
curious to see what the cruise ship industry is going to look like after this whole thing. Like,
I
and I
don't
know
know.
that they're going to try to.
Right.
It's that
support
time, man.
them.
Buy a cruise now.
That's what I'm saying. Buy cruise stocks or whatever.
no, don't. I don't think.
Don't
that-
buy cruise
yeah.
stocks. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm sure they'd
that
come
we're
back.
going to be
They're gonna come back. Everything will come back at some point.
the kind of hygienic.
I'm just saying.
you
I'm
know.
not saying buying a stock. I'm saying buy a ticket.
Well, airplane tickets are dirt cheap if you can get anywhere too.
Yeah. Who knows? Yeah.
I think part of the craziest part of this too is like, I mean, you're still seeing people, like, I don't know how it is out there in Wyoming, but like, I'm sure you guys run into people every once in a while that are like just not on board with this whole thing yet. And you're like, how?
Yeah,
At this
dude. I
point,
saw
can
this
you
guy in
feel-
fucking Target yesterday, and he was coughing and shit.
Oh,
And, like,
my
I'm
God.
not saying that he had anything, you know, or whatever. I won't label him as that, but I'm just like, bro, you got a cough and you're fucking in Target right now.
Right.
Go the fuck home. Like, even if you don't have anything, like, you should be coughing at Target. Like, it's allergies,
I mean,
right?
what-
If you're sneezing, I get it. It's allergy season for some people. Like, I'm sneezing.
Yeah,
a
me
lot.
too.
It's like, but like, if you got a cough, go home. Like, don't.
Well,
leave.
and the more statistics that come out and everything,
He wasn't even covering his mouth. Dude,
the more, but what I was saying is the more stuff that comes out, I think there's going to be less deniers and less like you can't argue with the data. At a certain point, you're just going to have to accept what's going on.
Do you guys see the people that are getting charged with terrorism for like that one
For
dude
intentionally spreading it?
Well, the dude didn't have it, but he fucking, went to Target or Walmart or whatever and like licked a bunch of like deodorant things.
Oh,
Like,
that dude. There was a YouTube guy I was listening to on the radio. Apparently,
everyone's doing this
who was like,
COVID-19 YouTube challenge or TikTok challenge. Like, are you fucking stupid?
I know what you're talking about, Tom.
Yeah.
Like the dude
somebody,
actually
like,
got
licked
corona.
the toilet or something.
Yeah, there's
and
a
then,
dude
yeah,
that looked at the toilet and like, you're fucking.
What is wrong with you, bro?
When you
and
I
then,
hope you
and
have
then got
asthma.
corona afterwards.
People just
That's
do
like
it for the clout,
Instant
man.
karma. They do
yeah.
it for the clout.
You
for
thought
sure.
you thought the Tide Pods were stupid. This is next level shit.
It got worse just when you thought it couldn't.
I don't know, man. The Tide Pod thing was pretty bad. Like, how in the world could you ever assume that was a good idea? Or
You never
even
go full
relatively,
retard.
like-
No.
I mean, obviously they knew it was a bad idea, but is it really worth it?
Hell
like for
no.
that bad?
I don't
Like,
need
going full
attention
steam
that
Well,
bad.
the thing is that, and this
Right.
is one of the things that's wrong, with our country today or the world. People watch stupid.
Yeah.
They
Right.
just do. And,
Well, I mean,
and
it's
you-
been
even
for a
if you're
long time.
hated, that's where the saying comes
Yeah.
from. Any press is good press, whether it's bad or
Yeah.
not.
Well, and that's Tiger King. That thing's blowing up on Netflix.
Oh my god, that was amazing.
We can't talk about it right now, Tom.
I'm like 2 episodes in.
I still gotta watch it.
I
didn't
just watched the
I
first
didn't
one.
watch the whole thing.
Shout
No,
out
like,
Tom.
I didn't even watch.
Is it Joe Exotic? Yeah.
Dude, I couldn't believe, so I actually didn't watch it scene for scene. My girlfriend's
on the
sister was
side.
watching it, and I would go back and forth just because she was watching it. She was like, "Oh my god, you guys got to see this!" So I got like the most intense tidbits of the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason why we were so interested in watching it is because these motherfuckers live in Florida, some of them, and my sister actually lives down the street from a guy who has like 4 or 5 tigers and a bear, and it turns out he's on that documentary for like literally like episode 3 for like 5 fucking seconds.
Oh shit.
And
Yeah, but it's like they say, like they were saying on Joe Rogan the other day. Joe Rogan was talking about like if you could keep a bear fed, bear's probably not going to eat you. But like these fucking cats,
They're born hunters.
they're hunters like
Right.
to the fullest. Like,
so is a bear. I don't
well,
know. I mean,
no, but bears will if they're fed, they're not going to eat you.
I'm
If
sure
they're
they
hungry,
will.
they're going to eat you.
motivation. Their main motivation is food, right? But
Right.
like cats are like, dude, cats are. Just watch a house cat. Those things could be completely fed and super satisfied, and they'll just go berserk on you for no fucking reason.
Yo,
Just
if
because.
if Aaron's cat had its balls right now, it would be a totally different cat.
No, I'm sure.
That cat would fucking be looking at Serge like a snack.
And Serge would be trying to keep it 6 feet away.
I know. Yeah. Yo,
We'd
social
have that
distancing.
We'd have the door closed right now, and it'd be scratching at it like.
I was talking to her about it because she was watching the series, and I was laughing, and I was like, it's funny because like lions and like female and male lions, they are pack sort of animals. So there's a certain amount of like feed it, and I'm the one who feeds you, dominance. Don't kill me, don't eat me.
Mhm.
I guess tigers, it seemingly can be manipulated in some sort of a way.
Yeah,
But
but
you know
that's
what the
what
hell you
Siegfried
don't see
thought
people
too.
hanging out with? You know what you don't see? You know what you don't see people hanging out with? Black Panthers. Those
Right.
motherfuckers are solitary creatures, and they don't want to be around you or anybody else.
Yeah, they're
and like, I don't care if
territorial.
I'm fed or not. I will fucking kill you. They're like, I mean, all of the big cat family, scary, definitely scary animals.
Well,
I
they
mean,
were
don't get me
saying,
wrong,
and that was one of the things that Joe Rogan was talking about. He's like, if you ever see a farm cat, he's like, you always see females.
Oh yeah.
He's like, and if you ever do catch the male, the one that's banging all of them, like he's got just giant fucking balls and like the head of a tiger, like on a little fucking farm cat, and they're scary, and you don't really see those. How often you see cats swinging their nuts around on a fucking like I know Courtney's family when they were living out in was it Douglas? I don't know. They had a farm and they had a bunch of fucking feral cats. They were all females.
Mm.
They were all females. and it was really interesting.
Well,
to hear
with,
about.
with the Lions,
St. Pete.
there's one male, isn't there, in the Pride? And then it's all females?
Dude,
or
I don't even fucking
I
know.
don't
there's,
know, yeah.
there's more than one male, but there's always one like dominant.
Alpha.
Yeah.
Like in most pack, there's one alpha, right? And so that dude eats first. He fucks first, or he's the only one that actually has sex, right?
Yeah.
And the other ones kind of just like, take scraps and wait for their time to basically take down the big hoss. But like, yeah, man, dude, they're not, I just don't, I get it. It's cool. I can see the appeal. Like, the equivalent of like maybe having a motorcycle. Like, yeah, I have this big cat and it's pretty rad because I'm a badass. But like, do you feel like you're really doing that animal any justice by
Fuck
like
no.
keeping it in a cage?
Yeah,
and
their
shit?
quality of life is way less.
They're
Yeah.
not meant to be in cages.
They're just reaping the benefits of.
You want a big cat? Get a Mancoon.
Look at Siegfried and Roy, those Las Vegas performers, or was it?
Dude,
Did
yeah.
you not just hear my comment where I said like?
No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah. Anyway,
I made the comment about.
But
I
yeah,
bet that's what
you're
Siegfried
right.
thought.
Siegfried
Till
and
you
Roy's a
fucking eat.
perfect example.
Yeah,
dude.
they had this
like,
cat for 20 years or whatever, and they just decided one day,
Fuck
fuck like
you,
a
bro.
snack.
yeah.
Yeah, I've had enough of your shit, bro.
Yeah.
You're not telling
I'm
me
done
what
doing
to do
this trick.
anymore.
I'm fucking over this.
I just think that like, so, yeah, I mean, and this isn't really giving anything away to the series, but like a big part of the focus is that some of these people aren't spading or they're not neutering these cats. One, because maybe you feel bad, I don't fucking know, but they're purposely having cubs so that they can take them and do like basically cub petting and use
Right.
that for fucking money. And it is terrible. It's disgusting.
Right.
Yeah, well, they were saying like in the show. I don't know if I should. Maybe I shouldn't do the spoiler. I mean, they were talking about it on Joe Rogan, which I should probably watch it first so I can get like a solid opinion of it. But,
The arm thing.
yeah,
That's what I
Yeah.
thought.
yeah.
I saw that clip.
I
too,
didn't see it yet, so I don't really want to.
Episode 2. Episode 2. So.
I haven't
Alright.
seen it yet. So.
I'll make the jump. Serge, quick question for you. With all of the Asian racism, which people don't understand, Serge may look Asian. That motherfucker is Mexican.
Yeah, with the name Sergio.
Sergio Villa.
Villa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Villa, man.
Villa.
L's are silent. Fucking
No,
racist.
double L Y sound.
He's Chad's a
Sorry
racist
about it.
Canadian.
So, yeah. Anyways,
But yeah, so like, have you experienced that? Are you worried about experiencing any of that?
nah.
I'm
I think
worried
here
for
we're.
you.
Oh, really?
Hell yeah, man.
Maybe people look at me, but I don't know. I don't really pay attention. Like, plus we've been like
for you.
quarantined. We were
Good
like
for you, dude.
quarantined anyways. So if I go to a store, I'm just in and out. I'm doing what I need to do. Looking for the toilet paper. You know what I mean? Go to that aisle first.
Dude, and you guys, that was not the right term.
Racist in the house.
Yeah.
Get out.
Yeah, sorry. The Asian culture has like some of the most polite and nicest people, and like there's all these people all over treating them like shit.
It
Well, just-
depends on the country too.
They're
There's-
culturally
right.
acceptive
But
for the most part.
It really does because I lived over there.
Are we talking about fucking North Korea? No,
No, but
obviously.
China is not as culturally acceptive or kind or like socially aware as other Asian countries like Thailand, Japan. Those countries are really good about being like the citizens of those countries are really good about being socially aware, giving you your space, that kind of thing. Whereas Chinese are known for being oblivious or less conscientious of that. So
Yeah.
I mean, I hear you though. Like, I don't feel warranted enough to have an opinion about it, other than the fact that hearing people say that there's any kind of discrimination going on towards, Asian people in their communities are like,
It's sad.
these
Yeah.
arrogant fucking people. Like, how do you even think that makes sense? Like, what are you doing?
Right. I think it's just ignorant people, And,
is, and there's
with
a lot of those.
bigger populations and stuff like that, since we live in a smaller population area and stuff like that, I'm not really affected, but I'm sure bigger
You were
population.
affected. There was one time at the bar.
There
were
was one
affected.
time Chad was there, but
yeah, I got his back. I
Yeah.
stood up for him. But
Just
that was way before
just
this.
ignorant people, man.
Yeah.
Go
That
for
was
it, Chad.
what
Tell
happened.
the story.
Oh, the guy just kept on coming up to Sergio and calling him a chink and stuff like that. I'm like, not even Chinese. Just go back to your friends, leave them alone.
Yeah.
And then he insisted. He came like back 3 times, probably 4
Yeah.
times, something like that. And so I said, either your friends are going to take you out of here or I am, and we'll handle it. So that was, it kind of ended there, but
Yeah, he just kept coming back. I was like, yo, bro.
He was
just
like
go.
yelling at him, being obnoxious.
Yeah.
And I think just any kind of racism.
Hit him with the clap sound.
Oh.
Chad saves the day, man.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go, Chad. This all for you, bro.
Thanks. But any kind of racism, you're cutting out so many good people in the world that you could know and that you could learn something from. So I think that's just, that closed-mindedness needs to continue to be corrected.
And it's always gonna
That's the
happen. You know.
That's the well-rounded, cultured side of him coming out right there.
Right. But yeah, I think people are always going to be ignorant, but I don't know. I tend to avoid that stuff, but it's always going to pop up eventually, you know.
Did you guys ever see that show? And I forget which network it was on, but virtually they set people up just to see reactions and how people handle things.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. There was that big dude. It was like a late night thing where they basically like
he would
you're on
have like
candid
someone
camera,
being
sticking up for somebody.
Yeah,
right? There was
like
2 actors, and one of the actors
someone
was
would
being
be
like
racist.
explicitly offensive or something. Sort of like fat people are racism or some shit like that.
Yeah.
It's like,
and then they would go and ask the person like, "Oh, why did you stand up for them? And why did you do this and that?" And
I
I
don't
mean,
know,
there were
kinda like
even
human
times
being.
where people didn't stand up,
Right.
and then he would ask them, "Why didn't you say anything?"
Yeah, I mean, those questions need to be asked.
Yeah,
Right.
no, 100%. Yeah, this is crazy. How long have we been going now?
Like almost an hour and a half. 122.
Damn.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Wrap her up. This
Yeah.
has been a good conversation.
It's been a good podcast for sure.
yeah, man, I've
it's-
thoroughly enjoyed like just sitting and chatting and bullshit with you guys, and I feel like the whole Cozy Boys title really
Comfy
like,
Boys,
has a-
motherfucker.
Comfy Boys. All right. But it just makes so much sense because like sometimes you just kind of want to sit around and bullshit a little bit and kind of
Yeah.
go over, maybe you're not armchair experting it, right? But maybe you're just kind of just, giving your own 2 cents about how it makes you feel and shit. And that's
Yeah,
very
we're just
interesting, definitely.
When
that's
we're
the
having these
intention.
conversations, you figure other people are thinking it or talking it about it. So another perspective or just a different voice about it kind of gets the gears rolling, lets you think about things a little differently.
Well, yeah, and we're not like profiting from this, and we do this anyway.
we're gonna talk shit anyways and talk about all this bullshit.
I mean, how many times did we say like we
Just
should
save it
set
for
up
the
a
pod.
no, but like remember when we had a bunch of people at your house? We were all saying it was like Kennedy and
We were watching
Skylar,
football,
you.
right?
Yeah, we were watching football. We were just standing there talking about current events, just bullshitting. And I
Yeah.
told Serge, I was like, we should just set up a camera and like just make it.
That's true. Make a show.
vlog
Yeah.
channel.
I like this format a little better though, because you're able to discuss things a little deeper that way, and there's not as much other bullshit going
Well,
on.
at some point, we are gonna.
Do a live show with a cam.
Yeah. Eventually, we'll get there.
The pod will be on YouTube at some point in video format as well.
Get more people stumbling upon it that don't really know you guys or don't know Casper that way.
Yeah, well, and then there's some restrictions. There's a lot more restrictions. So if we were to ever pull anything up, it can't be viewed on the camera or anything like that because we don't have the rights to it.
Yeah. No music.
Right. Yeah. It's. I'd have
well,
to do
just
some more
sound
stuff.
effects.
But
Well, right now we're using free music.
Yeah.
Our intro and outro song is free, so we can do whatever we want with it. It's
Right.
ours to use.
Yeah.
We don't
Own
it.
it.
But
Yeah.
it's
we can't get in trouble for using
Yeah.
it virtually. Even there are
I
some
like
great songs.
I like the intro music. I like the song. It's really cool, man.
Yeah, it's cool.
We went through quite a few yesterday when we were trying to find it, and
Yeah.
How many do you think? Do you try and
probably like 20.
I don't know. About
Well, no, I was going through.
Oh, it's
like,
Holden did, but
Yeah, I was going through, and then Sergio heard that one, and he was like, "Oh, I like
that's
that one."
it's because you know why? Because they used this song for like another podcast thing.
They used that one.
Yeah.
Oh, well, whatever. Fuck them.
Whatever they use it. Yeah. For the pull up.
So
You
quick,
get
shout
big
out
enough
Joe
and you
Budden.
can have somebody write you something.
so quick to comment on Armchair Experts. I love Dak and what's his wife's name?
Kristen
Bell.
Yeah.
I love their relationship. Like,
If you haven't seen the sloth videos
Oh,
of
yeah,
her,
from
him
Ellen.
surprising her with the sloth, they're hilarious. She just can't even handle her life after that.
Oh yeah,
dude, and they actually did a podcast. It was him and her, and they were getting in a fight. They were like just in a fight and like pissing each other off. And he even says it. He's like, "Yeah, our first like hour or half hour is kind of us bickering back and forth, and I'm kind of being a dick and like stuff like that." And I thought that was a great podcast. But
Well, people want to
he's
see
got-
real.
he's
They
got ads. He's got ads.
Do you
in
listen
between.
to his podcast pretty regularly? Or?
I was, but then like you know you
can't
get
fuck with
you
the
get
ads.
through 20 minutes and you got to sit through a 3-minute ad.
yeah.
And I was like, come on, man, like
They're like,
you
pause.
don't need the ad. You don't need the money from the ads.
I don't do that. I just I play on a couple of different podcast players, and like I use, here's a plug for you, but like iHeart or Podcast or Stitcher, and they all have these like little 15-second rewind or 30-second fast forward, and every time an ad comes on, you can almost hit it perfectly 3 times, and it'll perfectly skew from where you left off before the ad till like right when you're hearing the music come back on again.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure at
Skip
some
over the ad
point,
real
like
quick.
once we're a little more established, and we have more listeners or whatever, we'll probably
get
have
there.
like some sponsors or something that we'll shout out to.
That'd be cool.
dude.
Yeah.
You know, use a promo code.
Yeah. Yeah. Promo code Comfy Boyz.
Yeah, use a promo code Comfy Boyz, get 20% off. Because I know we could
Throw
probably.
that on there. That's so
I'm sure
funny.
we could get
They're
like
preemptive
Bratis.
of you.
What's that?
Bratis,
Oh,
Meat
yeah.
Market. I'm sure we get them. We probably get back.
Just local- yeah, local
just local
business.
stuff. You know,
Yeah.
You need the
That's
viewership.
Pretty presumptuous. Pretty presumptuous.
We're not there yet.
Presumptuous of you.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, you need the
We're not
list-
even close.
You need the listenership before you can.
Plus, we're kind of just. I feel like I'm just kind of doing it for myself, like just
Yeah.
talking and stuff, and talking to people, and
You feel
nice
like
meeting you,
it's-
Tom.
It's helps you get out of your shell a little bit more.
Me, well, I feel like we
appreciate
have.
that.
I feel like we have these convos anyways. You know. what I
Yeah,
mean?
but now other people can.
That's true.
Hear what
'cause
you're
you're not-
people just like
'cause you're
creeping
not
on
That's
our
why
convo.
that's why your fucking ass is sweating. By the
I'm
end of the
sweating.
show,
I'm
dude.
still sweating. I've had to like wipe like my headphones a couple times. 'Cause I'm sweating.
Yo, that like
Dude,
tons of people were saying that, Tom, when we were first getting ready to start, they're like, "Why are you doing this with Sergio? Like he's so quiet." And I was like, "Dude,
Not
I get
around-
Sergio
no.
out of his."
Yeah.
Well, not around the people he knows and trusts. That's the thing, and this is
Right.
like giving a little platform for you to
That's
speak
true.
your mind.
It would be a little bit harder for you to talk if Chad wasn't here and it was Tom on the phone only.
Well, yeah.
Well, I think, if you're taking, some notes out of some other people's books, like somebody like, and I don't want to continue to blow this guy's podcast up, but, Dak Shepard's
Mhm.
armchair expert, he's got Monica Padman, right? And she's kind of like the perfect, like, yin to the yang, he's
Like a
very-
moderator.
This is
yeah,
Right,
She,
and I
she
know, but I think it
virtually she dissects his show after it's over and virtually like
right. They
tells
do the
him.
fact check and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Keeps
But
it rolling.
I think that you don't want to have 2 conflicting personalities, right? So Holden's personality and your personality, they very much so they mix really well together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we're in love.
Sergio kind of lets Holden go off on a tangent, right?
Right, yeah.
Sergio's like, "This is what the reality is, real quick. Let me just, just get my 2 cents in."
That's a good breakdown.
No, and Serge does do that. There's a lot of times where Serge kind of he checks
I just let
me.
it ride. Yeah.
He checks me. There's times where he agrees with me, and then there's times where he's got to check me. And,
I'm like, nah, fam.
yeah, and he pisses me off sometimes.
A lot.
Yeah,
That's a real friendship, though. Anyone that can call you on your shit and
Yeah.
they call you on.
yeah, like calling somebody on their shit for fucking being late all the time.
I don't know anyone like that. No one.
Yo,
That's
this
another
kid's
Chad
fucking-
story.
This kid's late all the time. This kid Chad Quinn is fucking late all
Oh,
the
me,
time.
I'm habitually late to everything.
I don't remember you
I don't
ever
know
being
what-
late with me.
I just have this feeling. This might be the most weird thing you've ever heard. I don't know. I cannot stand being early. I think that
Oh god.
if you show up somewhere and that other person that you're meeting or whatever is like 30 minutes early, I'm kind of like, didn't you have, like, and I don't mean any disrespect, but like, don't you have anything better to do with your time than to be here like a fucking half hour
30
early?
minutes
like,
is
It's not about
different.
being early. It's about being on time.
For
Yeah.
me, it's always I
Right.
always think that like I can cram something else in before I have to do something, and then it ends up
Exactly,
running
right.
long.
No, this fucking slap dick uses the
Story time.
he uses the old excuse of, oh, I forgot my wallet at home. I had to run back. Like, shut the fuck up. No, you didn't.
It's like, oh, I'm on my way. No, you're not.
No, you're not.
Hey, I got you today. I
Yeah.
got you, fam.
You did good today, so that was good. Not that
Everybody's got that
fucking
friend
noticed.
who's like, I'm right around the corner. Like, I'm one corner. I'm right around
And
the
he's
corner.
still in
That's
bed.
it,
yeah.
And he's still in bed sleeping, bro. It's like 5 more minutes on the snooze.
Yo, that was MJ Foley back in the day, though. He used to fucking piss me
Oh,
off.
definitely.
But even then, he's not. Foley wasn't even as bad as Chad. Oh my god.
All right, let's not turn this into burn my shit podcast.
Throwing shade over here real hard.
Right. Yeah. He
not-
needs some sunglasses.
Yeah, it's not something
I
I
left
do
him in the
often,
car.
though.
Hang on, I gotta go back to my house.
Well, fuck, Tom. Like it was kind of last minute having you on. I'm glad that we did that, and we got to use our phone call-in system thing that we got.
Yeah, for sure. It sounds pretty good.
I
so.
appreciate it so much, and it was cool meeting you, Chad, and same Sergio, and I really appreciate you guys are doing this. And as soon as Holden told me, or I mean, he didn't tell me, I saw it on Snapchat, and I was like, holy shit, this is fucking cool. Like, I love podcasts at this point in my life, and I think that's such a great platform for people to be like really honest and really real, and just kind of like have an open conversation about stuff. And I fully support this whole thing. I think it's really cool, and I'm honestly just very flattered that you even were like, yeah, no, I want you to be on my podcast with me and my friends talking about the shit that we think is important and stuff. So it was cool, man. I really appreciate the invite.
Yeah, and it's gonna be nice too because now, I mean, we and not that this was the intention, but now you've been on the podcast and you're gonna be like, yo, you gotta listen to this. Like,
Yeah.
I was on a podcast like with my buddy in Wyoming, like.
Spread it
Oh,
around.
So-
definitely.
Yeah, so then it even spreads that much further, and even then, like, I know from being in New York, I know a lot of people in New York, and there's somebody I want to contact there that I think would absolutely love to be on the podcast and kind of talk about what he's going through.
That'd be way crazy.
Yeah, and
That's gonna be way crazy. Definitely getting that insight. I mean, I have family in New York, and they're my stepdad's family and some of my mother's distant families. But I could only imagine some of the shit they're going through right now.
oh right, yeah, and this kid lives in fucking Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
and works, virtually all over New York. New York City. He does construction. He works for like an insulation company or something like that. I actually haven't really seen him on Snapchat lately, so it's very
He
curious.
might be
to
out of
me.
work right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
They're not working. No one's working there, I don't think. Unless
Other
it's from
than
home.
essentials.
Yeah.
Right.
Or like the
medical
cops,
staff.
Essential service.
EMS. But I know like even dealerships, there are some that are closing in Denver. Montana, one of our sister stores is virtually closing their sales
Yeah.
department.
They shut down Montana, I believe, the state. So it's only
And that's what I'm
essential
saying. I'm
people.
saying we're gonna get there. That's where I was getting at earlier. Is I
Colorado's
think
shut down too.
Yeah.
Wyoming is going to get there.
Yeah, the
100%.
governor's trying not to, but we'll see. That's what he said.
The cases are going up.
Yeah, well,
It's
like
slow.
I said, it's exponential, but
Yeah, it's not.
When you start out with a lower base, then the exponential isn't going to be as shocking.
But here's what worries
Eventually
me
you'll
about
get
it,
there.
and then we can try and close. And
Right.
if anybody has anything to add to what I'm about to say, we can do that and try and close out. But it's because there is that distance in population and stuff like that, where I feel like we may have taken it not as serious when it was all happening.
when there's
that
a
now
like
it's
a
gonna-
Western tough mentality
Yeah,
that's
and-
built
and
in
I-
people here.
I think it's going to catch up. And
Yeah.
that's virtually where I'm going with it.
Yeah.
And it's just taking us longer, but it will catch up to us. because you don't know how many people were infected, and they're walking around doing this car hoarding shit, and going from store to store, buying the maximum of items that they can have from store to store.
Yeah, meat.
Yeah. So like
Toilet paper.
Yeah, like
Shout out.
We saw the one car on Snapchat where like they obviously had a full car of fucking shit.
Right.
And you can tell that they were hoarding, and they went to each store and bought the maximum of each thing, probably left for a little while, went back, bought another maximum of all the stuff that they could buy. And it's just so fucked up.
And there are some people that are getting
up.
busted for it. There's people trying to sell hand sanitizer.
Fuck them.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
There's a guy, I don't remember exactly where he was at, but bought thousands and thousands of dollars worth of hand sanitizer and was trying to sell it for like $80 a bottle, $100 a bottle
on Amazon.
And then, on Amazon, and he got called out, and they said either we're gonna fine you and you're gonna go to jail for 6 months, or you're gonna donate all this hand sanitizer that you hoarded.
Was that the guy with the garage who was like giving it out for free after because he like had felt so bad about it afterwards?
It's because like Amazon, they didn't let him like hike up the prices or whatever.
That's what he was trying to do.
Yeah,
well,
so
he got reported. He got reported a bunch.
They're not doing any third-party sales anymore now, right? It's all direct Amazon stuff.
Is it? I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
That's why I don't know, Tom, if you caught what I said on Facebook the other day, but I was like, and this wasn't directed at anybody. This was more of like I was
fired.
I was sitting in my chair.
I need to get the gunshot.
You need to get a gunshot.
I was sitting in my chair at work, and I was just like thinking about stuff, and I was like, man, it's like fucked up when people are doing this shit, and like
trying to profiteer.
You can really tell like shitty people, and that's like a shitty thing to do. And so I put.
I did just read that actually, but yeah, you're seeing like
during bad times, you can really see the difference in good people and bad when the bad people are no longer able to hide in the crowds.
Deserves a shout out right now, all the healthcare workers and stuff.
Oh yeah, shout out all the health workers.
Yeah, and my stepdad,
they're pulling doubles, triples instead of
all the people on the front
not
line.
Even that, they're like having to see people die in some of these places where it's really bad.
Plus the doctors that are
choose
the doctors that are on the front line and the ones that are passing away from it because they're just getting bombarded with the exposure.
Yeah, and you're seeing the people with family, they're both doctors. They'll like both be doctors and then they have kids and both of them are working openly with sick people and just risking.
And like in Italy, when it got really bad, they weren't even testing their medical staff and stuff for the virus because they knew almost indefinitely they were going to get it. They just knew that they had to work through it.
Yeah. Yeah. So shout out to them. Thank you guys for everything that you do.
Yep.
Definitely.
I know I have a lot of nurse friends and stuff like that. So
we all do. Plus in our families and everything. So
so thanks to everybody there. Thanks to Chad Quinn for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks to Tom for taking us last minute. You're 2 hours ahead of us, so it's 12:20 there.
Yeah, pretty late.
It's late, but I'm here for you, and thanks again, man.
Yeah, man. You got anything to promote?
No, I've got nothing.
It was really nice to meet you.
Tom's like, I'm just fucking happy to be on a podcast. It's cool.
Yeah, you as well, Chad, and Serge and Holden. It's always a pleasure, man.
Yeah, for sure. Chad, you got anything?
No, I'm good.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Let's wrap up episode 2. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. Thanks, Chad.
All right.
You can find us on Twitter and SoundCloud, Comfy Boyz Pod.
We'll be posting it soon as Sergio can
edit. Yeah.
Fucking edit.
I'll be quick on this one. I figured it out. So
just edit all Chad's parts out.
That's gonna be hard.
I talk too much.
All right.
Thanks, guys. We'll catch you later.